What's happening in the world is important to be concise in a minute and to be precise with what we are going to talk and what we are going to elaborate on. The first thing is there are 47 Pakistani soldiers dead as we speak in Balochistan. 30 are critically injured, and the death toll is going to go up. It is one of the most devastating days for Pakistan Army. And then as per the report, the year of 2024 was bad, but 2025 looks to be a disaster. That's in Balochistan. And who are behind it and what are the stories are going to go about it? Then Pakistan is again going to get a $20 billion loan from the World Bank today. And what is the loan for and what is the tango of the loan for? We're going to explain that. Thirdly, the Pakistani politicians are dumb and deaf. And mind it, Taliban is up to something very, very tricky. This is Balochistan. I'm taking to KPK. Taliban is up to something very, very tricky. What is Taliban up to? And what is Taliban going to hit on? That would be interesting. Wait and watch. Now from Pakistan, let's move to Ukraine. In Ukraine, we are seeing a very, very dangerous escalation. Zelensky is going crazy. He has started attacking the nuclear power stations within Russia. 𝗤𝙗𝗍𝗏. My Russian pronunciation might not be so good.
Zaporizhzhia
is the plant which has been attacked by multiple drones. Guys, it's a nuclear power plant, for the sake of God. Russians have deflected the attack. It's a dangerous, dangerous escalation before Trump hits the, this office. And while if we come back to Asia, we have seen that Kim has fired a ballistic missile when Anthony Blinken was landing in Seoul to South Korea to talk about the nuclear threats and how to work together and all. So Blinken lands here and Kim fires a ballistic missile. And remember, my hunt says he will even fire a hypersonic missile before 20th of January. Still 15 days to go. Let's keep our horses. Let's hold our horses. Meanwhile, there are scores of people going from North Korea to Russia. Putin has no dearth of people. That's a bit of a problem for them. And there is a talk of Russian high-tech satellite sciences and imagery being shared with North Korea. What does that mean? How does that change the geopolitics of the region? Very interesting to see with the Kim, who has got ballistic missiles and didn't have a sat tech. If he has a satellite tech, what is he going to go against? We're going to cover that. Then after that, we go to UK, wherein Elon Musk has said Keir Starmer's government or the government should be dissolved by King Charles because he has been trying to cover up this grooming gangs, which was run by Pakistani boys and men, wherein girls from 8 to 18, 19, 20 are abused, raped for years and years and years and systematically targeted. This is called the grooming gangs. Now, this Pakistani men running grooming gangs in UK has become a talking point where we have a couple of ministers reverting back. We have Keir Starmer going to the parliament and saying, no, it is not the case. But the heat is really on in Europe. Meanwhile, Macron is saying that Ukraine should be more reconciliatory with their territory. Let's not forget Russia holds 25% of their territory. Then, and from there, if we move to Middle East, of course, it's always a jigsaw puzzle. Hamas is up to new tricks. Israel is trying to counter them. CIA chief is into Qatar. Mossad chief is into Qatar. And there are things which are still going right and left. And Hamas is again playing the games. And Hamas is now changing the goalpost. How is Hamas changing the goalpost? We are going to talk to you about that and much more coming up. So stay tuned. Hand it over to Sree, sir.
Thank you so much, Sumit-ji, and welcome to today's episode of Ask Sumit, episode number 40. And Sumit will be answering your questions as well as giving you an update on this. I also have one update on Swami Chinmayananda. So what I would request, Sumit-ji, is you finish the first topic. Give me a couple of minutes. I have an update, a very important update about him, and then we can go back to your topic. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Sir, in the name of Bhagwan Sree Ganesha, let's do the Sree Ganesha of today's vlog. 𝗤𝙧 𝗤𝙨 𝙠𝙗𝗍 𝙠𝙗𝗍. Now, the news which is coming from 𝗤𝙗𝗍, it's a province in Balochistan. Here, 47 Pakistani soldiers were ambushed by BLA, Baloch Liberation Army. They have an intelligence wing, which along with the BLA planned the ambush. And these people are killed. They are dead. 47 of the Pakistani soldiers are killed. 30 of them are critically injured, where we are expecting some more to unfortunately lose their life, because at the end of the day, human lives do matter. We don't want people to die, but what to do? This Pakistan, people keep on dying there every day. So this is the biggest attack on the Pakistani army. And remember, this attack is happening in parallel to what is happening in KPK. KPK things are getting out of the control. When they were trying to control KPK, they were trying to do a ceasefire, which we reported last time, when more Pakistani soldiers got killed in the ambush when 𝗤𝗃𝗍𝘗𝗂𝘗 used the machine guns. Here in Balochistan, I think the number there was 16 or 17. Here the number is 47. Now, if I look at the casualties suffered by the Pakistani army, this is the biggest ever casualties suffered by them. So it is a tale of disaster what is brewing in Pakistan. And as per the reports which even the Pakistani think tanks are now talking about and Pakistani media is covering them, is that around more than 2,500 people have been killed in Pakistan in 2024. More than 700 of them, even Pakistan acknowledges, are soldiers. They claim 600-700 are terrorists, and rest are civilians. So it's basically a 1:3 split. That is what the Pakistan is saying. But the reality remains there are around 7 soldiers which are killed in Pakistan every day in last 2024. That the number of soldier casualties itself is 2,500 only, but they're trying to make terrorists and the civilian casualties as a part of it. But whatever, having said it, that Pakistan has lost 2,500 men, minimum women and children, to terrorism. That is the minimum what we are saying. And this is happening in Balochistan. We have been telling you KPK and Balochistan are hanging by thin threads, and these threads are being cut very systematically. Again, the systematic attacks on Pakistani army, which is trying to do the logistics and trying to keep its bases up and running in the area, and some major processes, they have been attacked. And this is what is happening in 𝗤𝘃. So for Pakistani army, this is a day of disaster. The things are slipping out of their hand pretty fast. Now, with this happening in Balochistan, and BLA taking the responsibility along with its intelligence wing. This is not Majid Brigade. Majid Brigade is a suicide brigade. This is an intelligence wing of the BLA. So this is BLA plus intelligence wing doing it, and there have been no casualties on BLA so far. Now, from there, if we move to Afghanistan border, it's heated up. Every day 𝗤𝗃𝗍𝘗𝘗 is having problems with them, but Taliban has come up with a very innovative plan. The innovative plan of Taliban is very simple. It is saying that any business which is run by Pakistan army, like housing, like food, like dairy, like whatever, all of that business and all of those business establishments will become legitimate targets of Afghani Taliban. So they have given people 3 months notice. You have 3 months, evacuate all those businesses, leave all those premises, because after 3 months, if something happens, don't blame us. So that means these all housing, there's a housing there called something. There are these big housing called
𝗤𝗃 Foundation.
No, sir, the housing colonies which they come up, DHAs. So all these DHAs and all those posh houses where the rich and famous live, 𝗤𝗃 Foundation run establishments from milk, dairy, butter, factories, everything becomes a legitimate target of Taliban. And people, you have 3 months, leave them, save your lives. After that, what happens? Nothing is going to, we don't know what is happening. So this is what is happening in Pakistan. And on the top of that, when Pakistan is getting into dark wells of history, Pakistani government has managed to secure a 20 billion loan from the World Bank. Earlier it was IMF, now it is the World Bank. Now out of that, 10 billion is supposed to go to the projects which are halfway and which are very essential for the civilization and the community to survive, like hospitals, like schools, like first aid things, like those critical infrastructure. Now the challenge is, so you are left with 10 billion. So the challenge is that, what I can tell you, there'll be more property brought in Dubai, there'll be more property brought in Canada and United States of America, because ultimately this 10 billion is going to get distributed amongst the rich and famous in Pakistan. So the poor people of Pakistan will be left high and dry. So $20 billion are more lost into the bottomless well. But the challenge here remains, and is what you will be wondering is, how does world keep on giving Pakistan money? Well, that is a global politics. People will keep on giving Pakistan money. And what we have been predicting on P Guru channel, I am sure you have taken a note of it. I told you Americans want Balochistan. Americans need Balochistan, Americans want Balochistan, and Americans will get Balochistan. Now look at the amount of ruckus which is caused in Balochistan, and look at the World Bank funding coming to them, where it will be indirect way for some Pakistani politicians to make money. Look at what is happening in KPK. Look at Taliban hitting the financial muscle of the Pakistani establishment, and already ISI is penniless because there is no opium and there are no drugs to be transported. So, with all those things happening, it's a matter of time when you will have KPK and Balochistan go. Balochistan will go become an American base or a colony or whatever. What these people might do, they might try to do a trick, make it an autonomous region and up and kind of hold it by a thin thread and also let it go loose. So that might be a deal which might come through. So overall, Pakistan is a story wherein things are getting from bad to worse to worse to worse. If 2024 was a nightmare, 2025 is going to be a draconian year. So let's hope that the suffering of the Pakistani people ends soon. The suffering can only end when this corrupt army is sent to gallows and these politicians of Pakistan are ousted out. Pakistan breaks into 4 or 5 parts. And now, out of those 4 or 5 parts, they start developing their country. They start working hard to develop whatever they have. Because this Mullah military nexus or Mullah military international, which has been running Pakistan for years, has failed. Now, the plight of the people in Pakistan is so bad that I was reading some reports in port cities of Karachi and in cities of Lahore and Islamabad. You can find a lot of people who are ready to work, not for money, for food. If you can just promise them, let's say 5 kilos of wheat or 2 kilos of rice and a 1 kilo of sugar, they'll be willing to work for that. So the Pakistani society is getting from a bad to worse situation. Imagine the kind of medical coverage they have. Imagine the kind of things they have. People are, and the number of homeless people which are dying on the streets is considerably going up because there's a heat wave in this part of the world, which is making things much worse for them. So in a country where people are really, really begging for, food to do work, and they don't have a blanket to cover themselves, that is the plight of Pakistan. And remember, Pakistan has been pleading to America, please do not put Asim Munir in the list, because if you put Asim Munir in the list of sanctions, all the money which he has siphoned off will go down the drain. The challenge is that Americans know Pakistanis will cozy up to Iran, and if they want to cozy up to Iran, that is the last thing they want to do, because the invasion of Iran or the ground assault of Iran or the fight with Iran is imminent. You can delay it, but it will happen. And so even with the China, the things are really, really heating up now. And, a lot of things are happening. Today, we had a very bad attack in our Chhattisgarh, where we lost 9 of our brave hearts. And the earlier reports, which are indicating, the initial reports are indicating a Chinese head there. So let's wait and watch. Too early to contemplate. And remember, J&K, we have seen Chinese ultrasets. So that is about the Pakistan. So there are 3 major developments which have happened in the Pakistan. So, so overall, Pakistan army, Pakistani mullahs and Pakistani politicians, all 3 are losing control. It's like you hold sand in your hands and close your, hand. What will happen? The sand will start moving from here and here. And the more you try to close the hand, faster the sand moves. That is exactly what is happening with Pakistan. Meanwhile, Indian government has condemned Pakistan officially for their attack on Afghanistan and said, look, you guys, you don't change your tracks, your habits die hard. Why? Why is Mr. 𝗤𝙑𝙑 saying that? Mr. 𝗤𝙑𝙑 is saying that because you ended up killing women and children in the villages. That is what Pakistan army is good at, killing innocent women and children. So India was very sarcastic and India condemned the attack, and India has shown solidarity with the people of Afghanistan on that, which is a big diplomatic snub for Pakistan. And Pakistan government is red-faced, don't know how to handle it, because when they go and do an airstrike on Afghanistan, it is India who is coming trying to back Taliban and trying to snub Pakistan at an international arena. Look, what Pakistan says, nobody cares internationally, but what India says, it becomes a global news. Pakistan knows that power of India. What Mr. 𝗤𝙑𝙑 is going to say is going to become a global news. What any general or colonel of ISI or anybody says in Pakistan, that's only entertainment, not global news. So this is one more diplomatic snub for Pakistan. That is where Pakistan stands today. Now I'm going to hand it over to Sree sir, as he has something important to learn. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Sumit. Now, what is happening with Swami Chinmayananda? I had told you yesterday that he went without food for 12 days because he was being force-fed beef. And since he didn't know whether the food that he was eating had beef or not, he stopped eating for 12 days. Then they moved the court and told the court that he was being force-fed beef. So the court ordered the jail authorities to provide him with vegetarian food. You know what they did, Sumit? एक मुट्ठी चावल दिया, एक मुट्ठी गेहूं दिया, एक मुट्ठी pulses दिया, and they said, go eat.
Wow.
And he had to cook his own food in his jail cell. And with that food lasted him only 2 days. And this was supposed to be lasting him a week. So for 3 days, again, he has gone without food. But they have again moved the court, saying that the quantities that are being given are insufficient. I mean, what you think you guys are going to get away with it? We are keeping accounts, every one of them, especially those those students. You are going to get it bad. You will be disqualified from moving anywhere outside of Bangladesh, and then they'll come for you and they'll finish you there. This kind of attitude and arrogance. And Pakistan, look at Pakistan. Look at Pakistan. Kutte ki maut mar rahe. They are dying, being picked off like dogs.
Sir,
Your turn is going to come if you don't change your ways.
They don't have food to eat. They don't have food to eat, sir. They are ready to work for 1 kilo atta and chawal. You can get a labor today in Karachi. You don't have to give money. Give him atta. Give him chawal. That is the reply to Pakistan today. And not only that, in Bangladesh, they have issued one more warrant for the extradition of Sheikh Hasina, saying that she's involved in some murder and all that. I mean, again, that drama of extradition is still going on. And and Yunus is again playing all his cards. So Bangladesh is not the topic, but just wanted to touch base on the Sheikh Hasina's topic a little bit. And what is happening to Chinmayananda is a grave concern to us. It's a grave concern to 1.4 billion people, Hindus, which are spread across the world. So it's not a question of nationality and passport we hold. It's a question of our faith, because he is a monk. He's a priest of our faith. And when you are torturing him, when you're making him eat beef and all that, you are insulting the collective faith of 1.4 billion Hindus, which is going to be a very, very difficult thing. Because I'll tell you one thing. Look, wherever your diaspora is, wherever your people are not affluent. You are working under somebody, right? So, and we Hindus, by the grace of God, by the grace of Lord Mahakal, are at very reasonably good positions. So the power is not always physical. There are a lot of ways of power. When Mahamaya gives you power, there are a lot of ways of power. And if Hindus start using this power against your people, swear to God, your people will be running like headless chickens. That is what I want to tell you, because you are pushing us to use that power, which we don't want to use. But if these atrocities continue, we will not be, we will left with no option. But anyway, so that is on the Bangladesh. There's one more piece of news on Yunus, but let's not get into that because we have to cover a lot of things today. Now, after that, what we move from here to Ukraine. Now, there is a very dangerous escalation in the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Remember, Trump has still 15 days before he can be in his new office. And before that, we are seeing that this Ukrainians all of a sudden are attacking this nuclear power plant. I have no idea why are you sending those multiple drones attacking a nuclear power plant. Because even if you destroy a nuclear power plant or attack or whatever you will do, there will be radiations. When radiations go, you want to get the whole Europe contaminated. You want to have another Chernobyl. Chernobyl was excellent. You want to create a Chernobyl. This is one of the biggest nuclear power plants. And remember, Ukraine has 19 power plants, nuclear power plants. And the fear here is that you are pushing Putin to the levels where he cannot handle it. And though Russian air defense could kind of dismantle all those drones, one of them has hit the ground. It caused a fire, but the fire was immediately put out. No casualties or no injuries reported, thanks to superior Russian air defense systems. But now today, I want to question one thing. Will Joe Biden and the Democrats answer? Why did they let that arsenal to be used on Russia, on the Russian mainland? Because these are the kind of things which could come in. And when Elon Musk...
that's not on Russia mainland. 𝗤𝙗𝙗 is part of Ukraine, but it was under the control of Russia. So just a small clarification.
Yeah. Sure. So, but technically speaking, the land today is in the control of Russia. Now, even if these American arsenal starts getting used in the Russian mainland in the same way and manner, now you can imagine what kind of a catastrophe you are claiming. That is where Trump was very clearly of the view that I was not consulted on this, and I should have been consulted on this, but I was not. And even couple of days back, we spoke that $6 billion or more arsenal given to Zelensky, and Zelensky is getting desperate because I think Zelensky also understands he has 15 days of feudom. So in these 15 days of feudom, he wants to do whatever best he can and the maximum damage he can cause to Russia. So this Russia-Ukraine is going to become, unfortunately, a India-Pakistan-like situation ultimately. That is where they are pushing it to. And in the meanwhile, so now, if there is a nuclear accident in Russia, or if the nuclear power plant gets attacked, or there's a radiation leak, who's responsible? Will NATO take the responsibility? Will Joe Biden take the responsibility? Will Europe take the responsibility? Who will take the responsibility? Who's going to take the responsibility for this? And it is not accident, it's man-made. So it is a very, very dangerous escalation which we want to reinforce and reiterate, which has not happened before. So the world has to be very careful with what do we wish next. And it's not the Russians are not capable of doing it, but if this starts going right and left, I swear to God, it is something which you can't even see. It will hit us and we will be perished without a whisker. Let's not get into this. And I think the first thing Americans should do, or the Europe should do, and the NATO should do, they have to stop Zelensky immediately from using their weapons, which has to be done very, very immediately. The second thing here, which is of importance, I want to take you to a comment of Macron. Now, Mr. Macron is of the view that the Ukrainians have to be realistic when they are trying to negotiate peace with Russia, and their ambitions vis-a-vis land have to be curtailed. Now, technically speaking, Russia holds around 20 to 25% of the land of Ukraine, and Mr. Macron is of the view, look, if you really want to be realistic, in a way, you have to trade off that land. And that is what even 𝙒𝙬𝙗𝘆 has indicated around 1.5 months back. So there is consensus building in the world. I think whatever part of Russia is of Ukraine is with Russia, that becomes a Russian territory. Meanwhile, Russia has reported today they have got one more small town of Ukraine. It was 1 month of a bloody fight. After that, they have got one more town of Ukraine. So Ukraine, with every passing day, is losing territory, and Russians are gaining territory. I think if I look at 𝗤𝙗𝙗, if I look at Macron, I've seen synergies building between Europe and the Americans. Basically, Macron is one of the tallest leaders of Europe. So Europeans and Americans seem to be converging on the point, whatever is with Russia will remain with Russia. That's the new reality of the geopolitics. So let's reconcile to the fact and live with it, because that's how exactly it is going to end up. What is Ukraine damaged cooling tower of a plant which is melting the nuclear reactors? Russia stopped Pentagon's in time to save the plant. Yes, there was a drone which hit in. There was some fire also, but ultimately it was controlled at a very, very short interval of time. There were multiple drones. It was not one drone. There were multiple drones which were sent in, and it was not one drone. So after that, now let us come to the one more aspect of it. Now, Americans and the NATO and the Europe is worried about the nexus which is happening between Kim and the Russia. Why this nexus is happening between the Kim and Russia? Because I told you that Mr. Putin was in North Korea. After 24 years, they have signed an agreement in time of war. If both of them are attacked, if either one of them are attacked, they will give full manpower, machinery, whatever is at their resources to the other side. Now, Russia has been giving them food, medicines, money, and everything. And even there's a talk of that, this Kim wants is a hypersonic missile. So there's all possibility it might happen. Now, in the return of that, Kim is sending a lot of troops, multiple thousands of troops. I may even say cannon fodder to Russians. And these are the people who are taking the brunt of the Ukrainian attack. Ukraine plus West joint attack, they're taking the brunt of it. Now, the point of concern is two things. Kim is really eyeing a hypersonic missile technology, some quasi-hypersonic, some kind of a hypersonic missile technology. And there's a talk that before 20th January, Trump takes onto office, he will fire the missile. Now, in the meanwhile, South Koreans are worried. South Koreans are really concerned because looking at the build-up, looking at the alliance which North Korea is building with Russia. Now, Anthony Blinken ended up there today in Seoul to have a word with the good buddies in South Korea and on to to pacify the things. And there's a political turmoil already going into the country. Now, when Mr. Blinken lands in South Korea, we have a problem in North Korea. Kim fires a ballistic missile into the sea. So Kim is trying to send a very, very, very strong message. He sees this as American interference in the Korean Peninsula, and he has warned that he is not going to take it up lightly. So Kim firing a ballistic missile is a very serious situation. And to add to the misery, the reports are there that Kim has negotiated with Putin that what he needs from Russia is the satellite tech. Why satellite tech? I'll try to explain you. Look, Kim has those crude missiles which are reasonably okay and they can fly. Now, Kim tried to launch a couple of his satellites, which did not work. Though Kim claims he has a military satellite, which nobody knows is it really working or not. Now, Kim does not have the technology to launch the satellites. Now, Russians have very good and cheap technology to manufacture and launch the satellites. It is believed when Kim gets this technology, today his missiles, when you fire a missile, you need a GPRS system. You have to depend on somebody else for a GPRS system. Now, if you have your own satellites or your own birds in the sky, you can develop your own GPRS system, which is not very difficult. So that means your dependence on anybody else reduces. Second thing, when your satellites on the sky, you're going to spy extensively on South Korea, on Japan, and other hostile, in your view, your hostile countries, though they are very friendly countries, and that increases the chance of you, that is North Korea, doing a preemptive strike on anybody. Today, lack of satellites does not give that capability to Kim, though Kim has the missiles. Kim has the missiles and they are reasonably okay, but again, he doesn't have eye in the sky. If he gets the Russian technology for this, so what does it happen? You get the eye in the sky, you have two things. So you need an eye in the sky and you need some kind of a quasi-hypersonic missile, which can be there. And if these quasi-hypersonic missiles with the eye in the sky are there, the kind of terror which Kim can unleash on this part of the world will be phenomenally high. So Trump will have one more bad boy on his charter to deal with, that is Kim. And Kim has got everything from Russians now. Kim does not need China now. Kim is the best buddy of Russians and he's going to get everything from Russia. He's getting everything from Russia. And Kim is supplying anything to everything which Russia needs. All those military consumables, all those raw materials, all those small things. Whatever Kim can supply from North Korea, he's supplying everything to Russia. So earlier Russia was dependent on China for this, only China for this. Now Russians have got even the North Korea supplying them all that, which makes things a bit difficult. So now Putin can play between the two. And China is trying very hard to get again that favorite place with Putin. But the challenge here is that Putin is not happy with Chinese given missiles to Houthis. Because why Houthis? Houthis are the proxies of Iranians, we know. And who is the biggest buyer of Iranian oil? 90% of the Iranian oil is bought by China still. 90% approximately. So China becomes Iran's biggest buyer and biggest arms supplier to their funded militia called Houthis. And Houthis are hitting everybody, right? Capturing nuclear bomb.
Just keep going. It's only for people to read. Don't worry.
Okay. It's not for me. Okay. So now, now here you want people to kind of, you want your biggest oil funders mafia, Malaysia you're funding. So you're buying oil from Iran and you're giving weapons to Houthis. Now, when weapons are getting to Houthis, they are disrupting the apple cart in the Middle East. Apple cart in the Middle East is getting disturbed, and that is what not Putin is liking, because his bases in Syria are shrinking, and with more and more American involvement in the Middle East, and Russia not able to confront them front one-to-one, is a disadvantage to Russia, which Putin is not happy with. So there is a bit of resentment which is going between China and Putin, but Korea is the best boy, just North Korea. I mean, Kim is the best guy. Ask him, he will deliver it for you. So that is where the paradigms in this part of the world remains. Now, when you are in Middle East, there are a lot of things. Before we go to Middle East again, we have to come back to the Pakistani grooming gangs. Then we are coming back to Middle East. Hold on for that. Because Middle East is a different angle we are taking. Then we are talking Syria, we are talking Israel, we are talking Hamas, and we are talking what the Americans are doing there. Now, if I look at the Pakistani grooming gangs, the Pakistani G gangs here in the title, we mean is the Pakistani grooming gangs. What is a grooming gang? A lot of people you might not know, you might have heard about this. It's a gang which is run by Pakistani men in United Kingdom, the great United Kingdom, if I may be a bit sarcastic with your due permission. So what happens in the great United Kingdom? These Pakistanis men go there and they start spotting the white girls. White girls is those typical British girls from the age of 9 to 19. So they
Swamiji, there's also incidents of many Sikh girls also being put out by these people. In the case of Sikh girls, these people speak to them in Punjabi. And whenever they approach them, they don't have a beard, they don't have a mustache, so they look like Punjabi boys. So that is
Correct.
a different level of entrapment that they do. That part is though not as bad as the white girls, there is a significant percentage there also. So
Sure.
lots of things going on. Back to you.
So in this grooming gangs, what happens? They identify a girl. Let's say the girl, they have spotted this around, if I can say in Hindi, �छोटी बच्ची है, 9 years old kid. So what will they will do? They will identify the girl. Then they will find a boy around that age, some handsome, dashing boy, no beard, nothing, gel in the hair, wearing those cool t-shirt. They will start approaching them. So when they start approaching them, then they start befriending them. When they have started getting a bit of friends and all that, then the boy presents a very lavish lifestyle. Of course, the identity is fake. Everything is with those fancy cars and rich brats and well cultured and all. They introduce them to the group. These are my group of buddies, and we have these elite clubs and all. Take you to the few expensive restaurants, places and all. And then ultimately, at one point of time, try to develop a relationship with you, try to get physical with you. Once that physical thing happens, they try to film that. So then a complete video or a complete picture is made of that. When that video or that picture is ready, then they blackmail the girls. Look, this is your video, this is your picture, we're going to put it on the social media, we're going to show it to your parents or whatever. Then the group of the guys, then this group who was presented as buddies, start taking turns. And unfortunately, somebody takes a turn, one more video gets made. So there is a time when the girl is completely entrapped, and then she is sexually abused for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, as long as they want or as long as they can. And there are multiple men, even the men at the age of 40, 50 and more, who come and keep on abusing these girls at 15, 16, 14, 13 and all. And this is the speciality of the Pakistanis, bloody Pakistanis, I must say, who pretend to be UK citizens, who are not Britishers, they are real jihadis. This is what the grooming gangs is. And by the virtue of that, they kind of get those physical satisfaction of, I don't know how demeaning my language can get today, is to really screw a white girl. That is as white, and paying the back Britishers, paying back the Christians. That is how they think we are literally screwing your daughters. That is the perverted mentality of these Pakistanis, and this thing is going on in UK for decades now. It was a small problem, but eventually with every passing day, every passing week and the year, it is increasing, and more men are joining that. Now, it is such a big problem, it is such a big menace in the society that it has got the international attention. Today, Elon Musk kind of came up with saying, he said, look, this is happening in UK. And Keir Starmer is silent on it. He was earlier in a position for 6 years where he could have prevented this at a government, being at a government attorney office, which he chose to look other way. And now he's the prime minister. He's still choosing to lose other way, because if you really call out this problem and try to save the young British girls, including Sikh girls, now what will happen? You will be branded as Islamophobic. Just for the fright of not being branded Islamophobic, what you are calling them, you are not calling them the grooming gangs of Pakistanis. And there's a new name given to them. They are called grooming gangs of Asians. But for the sake of God, where did you find an Indian in this business? Where do you find a Nepali or a Bhutani or a Thai or a Singaporean? Nobody of that order is in this business. Not even I have not seen even a Malaysian for that matter here. This is extensive club of Pakistani men, those perverts of Pakistan, those sex maniacs of Pakistan, those shitheads from Pakistan, sorry. These are the people who do it. Now, to make it politically convenient, you're saying gangs of Asia. That means the whole of Asia is into this.
It's South Asia, not Asia, South Asia.
Sir,
South Asia.
Now, do you think we are into this? We are pedophiles.
No, they should call them Pakistani. That's what they are. There was one statement made in a meeting, official meeting. They did call them Pakistani men, but in the parliament, they continue to use the word South Asians. This is wrong. There are many Indian, British MPs there. Please correct your colleague. 99, it's not 99.99, it's 100%
Pakistanis. So this is the big menace which is hitting the streets. Now, Elon had to come up. And there's one more party, which was a principal opposition party there. And he said this Mr. Fragile or Mr. Fragile is the name of the gentleman who had said. Elon had once given him some money and even given him some donation.
Nigel Farage.
Now, he has come up with a statement, Mr. Farage, you're not good enough to lead this party. You have to find for alternates. So he says, oh, I don't agree with Elon and all that. And now when Elon puts this allegation, there are at least 3 ministers from Keir Starmer's party who have reputed these allegations. No, it's not happening. No, it's not happening. Because now when it comes from the Elon Musk and he controls X and he has a good media outreach, now it has become a global issue. Now, not only that, now they're saying, when Keir Starmer goes to the parliament, they say, no, it's all propaganda, there's no information, there's no reality. But if you look into your society, if you look into what is happening, look, 𝗤𝗽𝗍𝗍, I told you what is 𝗤𝗽𝗍𝗍, wherein they keep this male child as a prostitute, where 90% of the male children, 90% of the male child in Pakistan is sexually abused. And these male prostitutes are kept in hotels, in restaurants, in trucks, and everywhere. And Imran Khan Niazi admitted that we could not protect the male child of Pakistan. That is Pakistan, 90% of the male child I'm talking about. And the rapes which happen in Pakistan, 70% or 80% of the rapes which are reported are of the male child. So these people are sex perverts. There's something in their head which is drastically wrong. Their DNA is corrupted. I don't know on which drug they are. Now, these men go and rape boys in Pakistan. These men out of Pakistan find these young, innocent kids. An 8-year-old is a kid to me. Find these kids and rape them and take turns in raping them and keep on raping them for years. And when the people like Elon Musk are calling it out, and what the Britishers are doing, great Britishers are doing under Sir Keir Starmer, because he's that left-leaning government that's supported by Islamists, just to not to be shown that Muslims are doing it, just not to be seen. It's a Pakistani hobby which is being kind of practiced in UK. They are trying to make it the gangs of South Asia or Asia. What the hell is South Asia? How many South Asians are involved? What have got South Asians to do with it? So I take strong resentment to this statement, because you are insulting law-abiding, nice and peaceful people of South Asia and putting them at parallel with jihadi, Wahhabi, radicalized shitheads of Pakistan. That is where the insult is. And because you don't want to be seen Islamophobic, you are letting your young girls to get raped for years and years and years and years, and you want to keep silent and silent and silent and to be politically correct. And when Elon Musk calls you out, you're running like headless chickens. That is the story. But I'm happy, Elon. Thank you very much for bringing it up, because at least these grooming gangs of Pakistan, and by the way, there are a lot of viewers of P-Gurus who have written to me or text me, Sumitji, you should bring this up. I was thinking of bringing it up anyway, but it's good Elon brought it up and it has become a global news today. That is what is happening with Pakistani. So, male child in Pakistan and female child out of Pakistan. That is what Pakistani specializes. This is something which should be very clear to you. And my dear friends, my brothers, sisters, whoever are you there, whichever country you are, if you have a Pakistani near to you, don't think he's a Pakistani uncle or a aunt. Don't trust a Pakistani. Don't let your children, don't let your women, don't your sisters, mothers, or for that matter, even it's a granny, don't let them even be near to Pakistanis, because you don't know what these sex perverts are up to. If they don't leave 8-year-old childs, then I kind of it's very atrocious and bad. So this is something which I need to warn you on. This is something, and again, male and female doesn't matter to them. It's all the same thing. So please watch out. Now, from there, let's move to from Pakistani group. Let's move to Hamas. A very interesting developments in Hamas.
Before you move to Hamas, Trudeau has resigned, and I had put out a story about 3 hours ago, and I was ahead of the curve. But I want to show you guys one little thing about who the nominees are, who could succeed him. So here is a quick slide deck. I'm going to share with you just 2 slides and then yield the floor back to Sumitji. Sumitji, these are the 2 candidates I just wanted to share with you. Come on. Something is going wrong. Just 1 second.
No worries. We have the time.
All right. Okay. What happens next? Well, they will have to elect an interim prime minister, and who's going to be that? Well, one candidate was the former deputy prime minister and finance minister, 𝗤𝙗₃ Freeland. Well, what happened was Trudeau fired her as finance minister, and she just quit. He said, I don't want your deputy prime ministership also, take it and 𝐻O ... So that's one person. This happened about 4 weeks ago, and I had said immediately, this person is going to be challenging him for the leadership. That's what is going to happen. The other person is the new finance minister, the newly appointed finance minister after her, Dominic LeBlanc. looks like some setting has been done between Dominic LeBlanc and Trudeau, and of course our other guy. I don't have to tell you who the other guy is. So we'll see what happens. But the story is that LeBlanc is considered to be the lead runner for the post. Over to you. You can finish Hamas now.
Sure. I just want to add one line to what you were saying, and about this Cynthia Freeman. Trump made a statement about her. She's toxic and she can't be used. So possibly, I don't think she's going to make it, because Trump has very negative views about her, and she says she was a deal breaker with US. Remember, Trump had put 20% tariff on them. So looks like the other man, which is possibly going to make it. And as per Canadian media, also, she said
25. Just being accurate, 25%.
just and as for Canadian media, we're just checking. Even they say that the debacle of Theodore was panga with Modi ji. He took that panga with India and Modi ji, and that is where his stars nosedived. So good, and panga nahi lene ka bhai. So people who you can translate it for who don't understand Hindi. Okay, now let's come to Hamas.
Don't F with India. Very, very straight.
You lose your job and the chair and the pants and the trousers.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's come to Hamas. Now, very interesting developments happening in Hamas. Now, the CIA chief was supposed to reach Qatar, which he has not. Mossad chief has reached Qatar, right? Qatar is trying to negotiate a deal. Now, the deal says that the hostages have to be freed. Hamas released the video of a hostage, which we told you last time, a 19-year-old girl. And there's a lot of hue and cry in Israel, because every parent wants their kids to be back, which is quite human, normal emotion. But when you look at the video, nobody knows it's a new video, it's an old video, whatever, because there's 465 days. These people are in custody. What is their plight? Are they alive or they're not? Now, Israel had given a list of 40 names. These are the people whom we want you to free in the phase 1. Now, what happened is, up to last time, Hamas was saying, okay. Now, Hamas says, okay, last time the condition was, we'll free everything, no problem. Now, last time they said, okay, if you want these hostages to be freed, you have to, idea of Madas cannot be in Gaza, which Israel said, look, this is not happening. Now, today, Hamas has given 34 names. Now, there was a big hue and cry in the Arabic media and all, 34 names, because we have been also trying to hamper 1.MP gurus. Where are the names? Which people are you going to release? Now, when these 34 names started getting, the full of Arab media, Hamas has given the names, that Truce is there. And Steve Witkoff, the Trump's envoy, is still somewhere in Middle East, possibly parked in Qatar. Now, when you look at these 34 names, and first there was a lot of euphoria about 34 names. Look, that something is going to happen. But when you looked at the 34 names, what Israelis realized? Israeli realized that these are the names what we had given. We had given you 40 names. You eliminated 5 and 6 out of them, are left 34. So these are not your names. This is our names minus the 6 people which you killed. So where are those names? So again, there's a lot of confusion. So again, the mystery remains the same. Hamas has not given any names of the hostages. Hamas is saying that if we release the hostages now, that means you have to do a permanent ceasefire. That is no more war after that. Not a temporary ceasefire, not a withdrawal of IDF for that point, but a permanent ceasefire, which was never the condition. And again, I doubt do they have any people alive or not. Because again, Hamas has not given the names. So there are a lot of people. So there was a report from Qatari media, we are very close and all. Israel has said, no, we are not very close. These are all aspersions which are caused, because I believe these aspersions are being caused to flare up people in Israel, to give them an impression that, we are very close to leave your near and dear ones. And it's Benjamin Netanyahu, his BP, who's spoiling the deal, who's not trying to do the deal. But after this 34 names fiasco started unraveling, when everybody started getting into the names, they all realized it's not a new list. So the position is, no list is given. Amidst all the claims from Al Jazeera and all these people, no list is given. Secondly, IDF is not going to kind of move out of Gaza when the hostage exchange will happen. Thirdly, now today's condition is a permanent ceasefire if you want hostages to be released. Yet there is no list. You want a permanent ceasefire, then we'll talk of hostages to be released. When Benjamin Netanyahu was saying it is not going to happen, we are not going to happen. Regarding the girl which was released, Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to the parents and said, "We are doing our best. I am working relentlessly to get it done." Mossad, which is the external spy agency of Israel, the chief is in Qatar. American CIA chief is supposed to reach there. He has not touched down yet. Will he reach there? Mr. 𝗒𝗖𝗍𝗍, the Prime Minister of Qatar, is trying to negotiate this deal. Sree Iyer is there, which is the Trump's envoy. And by the way, Anthony Blinken was there. So things are kind of really, really heating up. And while we have things heating up in Qatar, there's one more angle which is opening slightly down the line. Slightly down the line, Turkish Foreign Affairs Minister or the External Affairs Minister, Hakan is now saying that these Kurds today or tomorrow, which are kind of controlling Kurdistan, will be eliminated or killed. It's a direct warning of elimination of Kurds by Fidan Hakan, the External Affairs Minister or the Foreign Affairs Minister of Turkey. Now, these people are the people who are fighting ISIS in that region, Kurds, and these are the people who are keeping these ISIS terrorists under leash. 𝙒𝙨𝙬 is saying, "Oh no, Kurds will join the Syrian army," but his boss, not his boss, technically, practically, his boss, Fidan Hakan, is saying, "No, they have to be all eliminated. They have to be eliminated." Now the question is, who is going to eliminate Kurds? And what happens to 2,000 US Marines? What happens to the oil in Kurdistan? Who is going to get the control of oil? So if you look at that part of Kurdistan, the things are going to heat up. And here, Germans and French have been telling 𝗤𝙗𝗎, how do you conduct business? It will entirely depend on that, and don't Islamize the curriculum. But forget that. Now you're talking of elimination of thousands of Kurds. Turkish minister saying the land doesn't belong to you. So are we looking to a new conflict in Syria, in Kurdistan? And if this new conflict breaks up, now the challenge here is you have Turkey, who is the ally of America and NATO, and your US Marines in Kurdistan was supposed to protect the area along with the Kurds. Now, there's a conflict in which 𝗤𝙗𝗎 is firing bullets, or the Turkish-supported militia, or the Turkish army is firing the bullets on Kurds who are protected by Americans. The Americans are firing back the bullets, which is goes and hits a Turkish soldier. Now, America and Turkey both are members of NATO. So are we seeing a scenario which I had predicted 5 years back? One day, Erdogan will make one NATO ally member fight with another NATO member. That will really jeopardize the real position of NATO. Remember the situation. Well, this is happening. Trump is saying, "I'm walking out of the NATO." Trump has already stated, "When I'm come back to office, I'm walking out of the NATO." So this is a very, very peculiar situation which is brewing in Syria and this Kurdistan. We have to really keep an eye on that, because if this happens, a lot of things will start activating. And remember, Jordanis have also met now. Jordanis have also met 𝗤𝙗𝗎, and the biggest threat to Jordan is 𝗤𝙗𝗎 today. And again, last time I told you, they told, "Oh, Israel, you should blockade there," but Israel's got a deal with Americans, and all those things are happening. Trump is still going in. And by the way, 𝗥𝙑𝙤𝙀 was in India also. He met Ajit Dovalji. I don't know what is this man trying to prove. It's with 7 days of his job left. How many deeds and what is he trying to do, and why are they moving around the whole world trying to do what? That is another mystery which is brewing. We really don't know what is happening. We hope and pray that before Trump comes in, Kim doesn't fire the hypersonic missile, and there is no fiasco which breaks open in Kurdistan. And Houthis are controlled for next 10-15 days. So there are a lot of still those flashpoints which are brewing in the Middle East. And with these, every flashpoint brewing, you will see suddenly the position of the various leaders in Middle East will start changing. It will change very, very fast. And Israel is again preparing for something big, what I can tell you. And now we have confirmed reports. The last point I want to tell you, Americans have a plan. Push comes to shove. If Iran tries to acquire a nuclear weapon, which some people believe they're just 1 week away from acquiring that quantity of uranium which can make the first bomb, and around a month or 2 away from the quantity of uranium that can make 4 to 5 bombs. 60% of the enrichment is done. Now the challenge here is that, will Americans wait for that? Because Americans have a plan which is being given to Joe Biden, again not to Trump. If that happens, how are Americans possibly going to go and destroy the nuclear assets of Iran? So before Trump comes to office, you might have problems in Kurdistan. You might have Americans go and destroy nuclear assets of Iran, and the backlash will follow. Then you have in there you have Houthis activated. You have a triangle of disaster. You see, where is Turkey? Syria, Houthis, Iran. Draw a map. So there's a triangle of disaster which is brewing up in Middle East. So it's not over till the time it is over. So things can go really rough and can get really crazy in Middle East. Still, we are on 6th of January. 14 long days to go. Let's hope and pray everything remains fine.
Let's get your Ashirwad.
I want and one line. Look, brother, if you have a big building, a very big, tall building, very mazboot, good, tall facade. When I enter the basement one day, I see there's a big pillar and I'm seeing a crack on the pillar, right? This might appear nothing right now, but in due course of time, that can be the debacle which can bring the whole building down. So what are we doing? We are not trying to be those doomsday ambassadors. We are trying to identify those cracks so that, you know what happens? Our broadcast will reach 500,000 people easily. So when they reach 500,000 people and the people in the echelons of power do watch it, so we are highlighting it to them so that they can go and do the fixing of the job. Our job is to highlight the issues. We can't go and fix everything. Their job is to go and fix the thing. So we have to highlight each and everything. And we are trying to make their work easier and do the national service by putting those smaller issues, even for them to consider what can be done to fix them at a very early stage. So if this crack gets fixed now, building will be safe. If crack is left, that time will break everything. That is what we are trying to do at Peak Guru. So don't worry. This is a part of the evolution and survival of the fittest. On that note, we'd like to take, we want to thank you for all your love, support, and patronage. Please like, share, and subscribe the video. Bharat Mata ki jai, Vande Mataram, and Har Har Mahadev.